we're finally out of our 5K lockdown, so we're heading into the hills. This morning we're after a peak that we haven't bagged in the past. It's the Sheehy southwest top. Again, it's one of those kind of ones that not many people have ever done. There's no real apparent track, so we're going to have to kind of figure it out a little bit. And we're here in the southwest, we're going to have to expect Blanket Bog. So just to give people a little bit of a sense on what we would do to prepare for something like this and how the day goes, I'm going to go through it in a little more detail. So stick around and we'll go through it all. Start with, I suppose, what kind of gear do we use to go on a little adventure like this one? You know, I'm just wearing a technical top and base layer. Same, I have a pair of legginy things that are something similar. Again, no cottons or anything like that, because if we're going to get wet, we want fabrics that will wick and take the moisture away pretty quickly. I'm going with my Altras. They're kind of a road trail shoe here because typical with a lot of these ones, we're on a loop, it's a 12-kilometer loop. We're going to have a mix of Blanket Bog. We're also going to have chip and seal road. So the problem that we find certainly with a lot of these type of adventures is that, you know, the perfect shoe that you have for the Blanket Bog becomes probably the worst shoe that you can have when you get onto the chip and seal section or the section that's full of hardcore or whatever like that. So there is no perfect shoe and you just kind of have to figure it out a little bit. I'm going on the basis that it's been a pretty dry month, that the Blanket Bog won't be maybe as bad as usual. I'm going for something with shallower lugs and, you know, a bit more forgiveness when we get on the road. So just to show you then what we will bring along on the day. Here's some water bottles. These are flexible ones. They're some sort of a cheap Chinese ones. They taste absolutely awful and I intend to change them. Here's my just my light kind of pack. Got a couple pouches in the front, a few places I can hang things. Got a nice little area back here that I can, you know, stow a jacket, you know, a few snacks if I want, all that kind of stuff. This is my go-to jacket on something like this. You can scrunch up into something tiny, and I wouldn't go into the hills without this any day of the year. This is a little heavier jacket, which I may or may not wear. Again, it's pretty light, technical fabrics. It's actually a cycling jacket I got, I think from one of the discount stores a few years ago, but I love it. It's a great little yoke. These are a pair of shoes that have my Vivo Barefoot. Little deeper lugs. They're getting a little older now. The lugs are starting to wear on them. Bring them along, but I don't think I'm going to use them. But what I would probably do is when my feet are wet getting back into the car, I'll change into these and drive home in them. Here's just a t-shirt for afterwards. This is cotton. This is my Dirty Reaver t-shirt, love that one. Little hand towel for, again, that'll stay in the car for, you know, just drying off feet and things like that. Change of socks and a pair of jeans. And so that's kind of the sort of thing that we would bring along on a day like today. Today is not a particularly big adventure. We're looking at about 12K on a flat bit of road. We'd knock that out in around the hour. But, you know, when you go into the hills like this, especially when there isn't a defined trail, you really have to assume that it's going to take 2 to 3 times as long. I think that's a decent rule of thumb. All depends, you know, if you have to backtrack, you might hit a sheep fence that you can't get over, you know, you might hit a gully, you know, etc., etc. So there really is a big unknown. So finally, I suppose the last thing is first aid. We have a small first aid kit in the car. And the other thing that we would not go without are phones. We both have fully charged mobile phones when we get off there. Coverage can be spotty in these places, but you know, if you have some phones, at least if something goes wrong, one of the party can always hike to somewhere where they can get a bit of coverage and make a phone call. You know, don't go to these places without a phone. So that's it. Let's get into the hills and see how we get on. Okay, so we're underway. We're just coming up the Kusan here, which is a lovely little valley.
A little bit disappointed by the amount of just small litter along the side of the road here, which is disappointing to see. But anyway, we're about to swing onto the hills here behind me, and that's the bit that we're really looking forward to. Weather feels a little bit cooler than we expected, so I have all my layers on. I have this jacket and my nice little cycling jacket I showed you earlier on underneath. If I get warm, the forecast is to improve, I can drop a layer back into my bag. Just coming up to this nice little standing stone here off to our side. Don't know if you can see it, pretty cool. And we're finally onto those little borings. A couple of kilometers of this and we're onto the mountain proper. But little overcast, but nice morning to be out, and really looking forward to getting onto the hills. I'm not alone. Keelsha have noticed the problem with dumping in this little kilometre or two, which is a real pity because it's such a beautiful area. They have a little sign up there saying no dumping, area being monitored. Hope it is. I hope the a-holes that are at this get caught, because it's sinful, it's shameful, you know, whatever you want to call it, it's just awful. Okay, so it's typical with all these things, we're out for half an hour now. Morning's kind of starting to get a little bit warmer, so we're starting to get warm, and obviously we've been running a little bit as well, so just time to shed a layer. So very simply, just take a layer off. For me it's the hat and the outer jacket, and I'll leave this second jacket on. I'll just put it in the bag. Same for Celine.
Gloves as well.
Gloves gone as well. So on to the next bit. We can always put these back on, and if we get too hot, I don't think we will today, we can always take off another layer as well. So that's it.
Okay, we're finally off road and onto the mountain. We have a bit of a path here, which is great, but the views behind me are absolutely spectacular. .360 all the way around.
We've got the mountain now up behind us here. There's no path or trail to the top here, so we're just going to have to wing it a little bit, figure it out, use things like the barometer on the watch to figure the high point, but it'll be probably reasonably obvious when we go up there. It looks to be peaky enough from down here, but we'll see as we go. So it's just a case of finding our best way possible to the top.
So we're at the top of the mountain, but it was time to layer up again, get the hat back on. It's not cold, a little breezy, but not cold, but definitely the ears are a lot happier with the hat back on.
I'm reading 443, mountain views is at 440, so probably close enough. I think this is our candidate for the top. Just a nondescript patch of grass and heather, so I'm declaring I think we bagged it. We're going to walk a little further northwest, I think, just to see if there's any other potential candidates. The clouds have kind of come in as we've come to the top here. They may clear, we may get a bit better view if we hang around for a few minutes. And with all these things, we've spotted another potential candidate, probably 50-100 meters from the first one as we walked on a little bit. Might be a few meters higher, not sure. We're gonna go over to it, either way, once we've that one done, we're coming back down. We're kind of following the track that we'd roughly mapped, which, you know, as best I could had a clear over the peaks. Our second candidate is probably a better one. I'm reading 451.
I'm reading 441.
441, so it's somewhere in the middle of the two of those.
But it is higher than the last one.
Yeah, so Sheehy Moor, southwest top, bagged.
We've just gone about 200 more meters and climbed over to the other side of the fence and dropped down slightly, and it is like a different day down here. It is flat, calm, no wind, so I can nearly lose the hat now.
So we're back to running on Blanket Bog. We're actually pretty lucky this morning. It's been pretty dry for the last month and we haven't sunk down past the ankles yet. I'll use the word yet because it's probably only a matter of time but we've just got a lovely surface here now to be running on. That's a lovely mixture of sphagnum moss, heathers, and some of those brown grasses. I'll put the name on screen, I can't think of it right now. And be under no illusion, this is a harsh environment up here. There's beautiful sheep all around us, but just came across this guy here, and unfortunately he didn't make it through the winter. It's a warning for all of us. Just got to have respect for the mountains, because it is a really harsh and dangerous environment if you don't take care. We're on this nice little bit of gravel road. We're going down, starting to make a bit of headway again. I suppose one of the things you'll always find on these roads is that average speed per kilometre is pretty much meaningless. So, you know, travelling down this road here, we'll probably clip you away at 5 minutes a kilometre or something like that. But, you know, the previous one could have taken 14-15 minutes for the kilometre, and our heart rates could have been even higher for that one. So, you know, you just have to get the concept of average speed per kilometre out of your head completely.
It's lovely to see all the sheep up in the mountains, you can see there, but really it's baby lambs that I'm looking to find. Okay, I think I found what I'm looking for. And there he is, up on the side of a mountain with his mom.
Celine is still getting her baby lambs. It's all about the baby lambs.
Got my baby lamb.
Finished up, about to head for home, drop the layer again, and wait a sec, get back out here, bad bends here on the Kusan Gap, and back for home. It's a nice trip, as we expected, a mix of road and trail. The Blanket Bog was surprisingly dry, probably, Celine, one of the driest we've had in the last year. So this dry spell that we've had has really made a difference. Neither of the two of us sank to our ankles, not even once, which is remarkable here in the southwest. So it was very enjoyable. Unfortunately, as happens with a lot of these peaks, when we got to the top we were into the clouds and didn't really see a whole lot, but for the most part it was, you know, pleasant. We had to layer up and down twice along the way. The second time was just hats on and off, just as we caught the wind at various points, but all in all very, very pleasant. Sheehy Moor southwest top, not one of the big ones. I checked Mountain Views, 25 people have registered that they've bagged it in total, which means that it's one of the small ones. But you know, would I recommend it? Yes. I will put a link to our GPX on Mountain Views, and I'll put it below, somewhere down below here in the video, if anybody wants to do the route at any stage. And yeah, that's it. See you on the next one. Take care.